learners can be, depending on the simulation, they can be very engaged because it gives them an opportunity to apply what they have learned, and also learn by trial and error without actually being penalized. Like, I did have a really interesting demonstration of how they use simulations for helping train doctors in surgery. So imagine that. There's, even if you fail, then it's not a huge repercussion. So things like that can be really cool and engaging. And it's really, you want to think about your client, your learner's end experience in whatever you develop. So even if you decide you are going to develop in Word and PowerPoint, then what is the final output going to look like if, for instance, it's served up on an LMS or transformed to e-learning? The simulation can be a highly effective way of learning. You have to keep in mind, as I said, the learner experience. I once attended a session where they were presenting things in 3D in a virtual world. So each of us attendees was an avatar and could see our avatar on the screen as we walked through this virtual reality world. And as we walked through different paths, it was about learning and training. And so it was quite effective when we walked into a brick wall, because it had to do with something about learning and the obstacles that learners have to go through. And then we had to go through a maze. But one thing that I was disappointed in was at one point they were showing by 3D representation these swirling globes that were larger or smaller depending on what the poll results were or survey results. But what I found was a large ball, if you think about it, as it travels away from you, gets smaller. And so what I observed was it wasn't really an effective way of presenting the data, because what should have been large, a larger ball throughout, no matter where it was, actually got further away. So it was realistic in that if something, a big object, moves away from me, then it's going to get smaller, but it wasn't effective in displaying that data. So yes, simulations can be effective, but you really have to think about the learner experience and how they are doing that learning and how it's perceived.